News. I'll start with the good news. Stephen Curry is fully healthy, and he is back in a major way with the game-high 39 points, 6 of 15 from the three-point line, 14 to 28 overall. The bad news is the Warriors went on a 5-minute scoring drought in the fourth quarter, enabling Minnesota to go on a 17-0 run. They withstood a Warriors run there in the fourth quarter, and they win by 7, 127 and 120 in the first meeting between these two clubs since their Western Conference semifinal matchup. We welcome everybody to Toyota Warriors postgame live here at the Gay House. The return to the Hall of Famer Chris Millen, NBA champion Festus Ezeli, and my brother from another mother, Rob Brooks. I am Bonte Hill. Too much size, athleticism from Minnesota, and that scoring drought really did the Warriors in that fourth quarter.
Yeah, the end of the third, start of the fourth, as you said, Bonte, a 17-0 run. And I think Minnesota won this game. It was a clutch game, last 5 minutes, within 5 points. DiVincenzo made some huge three-point shots. I thought Julius Randle was great all night long. And the Warriors, I thought they played a good game. They couldn't knock down the three ball. You know, they took
46 threes.
46 threes. I thought a lot of them were open shots, good ball movement. But because of that, their assist numbers were down. The good thing is, as Fitz just said, Steph looks really good coming off the thigh contusion. I think they have to figure out their bench. You know, I think Steve feels good about the guys he puts on the starting five, but the bench is kind of a crapshoot. You don't really know who's going to play, the rotations there. I think they got to figure that out. They really got to start making some hay here with 14 of 20 games at home.
I thought Minnesota played to their identity.
Yep.
All they do is they drive the ball. They have incredible athletes. They drive and wait for you to stop them. If you don't stop them, they get to the rim. If you do stop them, they hit the corners and they hit threes. Yep. Well, tonight, they weren't hitting threes either, so they just stayed with the drives. They just drive and got to the rim. They scored 66 points in the paint, and they punished the Warriors. When the Warriors went on their shooting drought, they didn't have an answer. Meanwhile, Minnesota was getting to the rim. They were getting layups. I thought this is one of those things that when I keep preaching points in the paint, this is what I'm talking about. Those points in the paint can help you kind of, go through those tough times where the shots are not falling.
No, you're 100% correct. And Minnesota got back to their identity immediately when the second half started, when we went in there to watch the game. What did Minnesota do? Their first two buckets, direct line drives to the paint. Then their fourth bucket in the game, Rudy Gobert with the dunk. And that was the theme over and over and over again. Team like Minnesota being as big as they are. But then you look in the fourth quarter, Minnesota scored 39 points. 22 of those points were in the paint. So they stay with their identity. They kept just mashing the Warriors in the paint, just waiting for the timely three ball to fall. Eventually it did with Dante DiVincenzo.
Ooh, I got to give Dante a lot of credit.
Yeah,
Dante hit some big shots there towards the end of the game. Made up from some mistakes that he made towards the end, fouling Steph. Steph misses a free throw. But, yeah, just big shots by them and by Rudy.
I was yelling, that's a bad shot, that's a terrible shot. They went in.
Big time shot. They went under, but it was a 3-point game. He tied it up with that play. But Rod and Festus, to your point, a lot of those drives, McDaniels was dropping off to Rudy Gobert for dunks. Rudy had a huge night, all in the paint. And in turn, both teams struggled percentage-wise from the threes. The Warriors made 4 more, but the Timberwolves, because they were driving the paint, they wound up shooting 54% to the Warriors' 45%. So much more efficiency. And I just thought, as Festus made a good point, the last 5 minutes of the game, they had a little more diversity. They weren't exclusively three-point shots. They made timely ones. I think they really made the separation by driving the paint and getting points in the paint.
24-14 run. Hold on, let's pick up this fourth quarter tape, Rod. Let's get to it, the crunch time tape. Rudy Gobert with 24 and 14-0 run by the T-Wolves here, and they take a commanding 12-point lead. Their biggest lead of the game, but then Stephen Curry comes off the bench.
Great play out of a timeout, by the way, Steve Kerr. Getting something going to the basket. They were missing so many shots, and that broke the drought right there.
Yeah, 5-minute scoring drought as he fell there, and then Moody right there. Nice little hustle play right there. Offensive rebound to Stephen Curry, and you get the Warriors back into the game.
That's just God-given talent to Steph Curry that has been absolutely honed to perfection.
Man, Steph pushing the ball. Moses Moody from the corner.
This is a huge shot.
You know, there's life inside of Chase Center. Warriors all of a sudden down 4 with 4 minutes and change left in Minnesota. Nice play there by DeAnthony Melton. Welcome back, DeAnthony Melton. He's been dynamic since he's returned from the torn ACL. Moody slowing it down, and that's bad, man. Pump fake, fly by. Good night. Stephen Curry from 3 over the top of the key. The Warriors are down 1 with 3 minutes to change. Even Anthony Edwards.
How bad
he's
is
smiling.
how crazy you gotta be for the other team?
Hey, he's just happy for the dude that's wearing his shoes tonight.
Jimmy Butler, kind of a quiet night for Jimmy Buckets here. We'll get to that a little bit later, but Steph doing that thing again. 14 points in that fourth quarter. Again, he finished with 39 a game high. That was one of his 6 threes there. Moody with the layup. And that's you know, you thought the Warriors may steal this one, Fezzi.
I got to give the Warriors a lot of credit for fighting to get back into this game because Minnesota, they were not letting up.
That was the yes shot, bully. Who's gonna
Coach Bonte was getting ready to take him out of the game.
and he shut me up in a heartbeat there. And then DiVincenzo looking at Jay McDaniels. He made plays all night long.
Just
Look at his
again.
plays.
Okay, big. Okay, big.
That's the way you finish in
Athleticism to get to the paint and in size that you can't do anything about in the paint.
17, 5 and 5 for McDaniels, and they didn't want to. Dante DiVincenzo.
They didn't want you,
The dagger
Dante.
3 there.
He
That was
knows those
huge.
rims.
21 points for Dante DiVincenzo and 2 huge threes down the stretch. And the Warriors all of a sudden, we talked about this in a pregame show, Fezzi, 14 in the next 20 at home, where they lose this one. And all of a sudden, after starting off undefeated at home, 5-0, they're now 7-4 inside the chase.
This is a tough fought game. The Minnesota Timberwolves, their identity is to fight and to make everything physical, muck up the game. No Anthony Edwards, so they had to do that. Jaden McDaniels was the great guy at the point of defense going against Steph Curry, and everybody else followed suit. You can see Julius Randle, you can see Rudy Gobert. Everybody had to play a little bit more, a little bit better, did more, and I thought Rudy was one of the guys. He won that matchup with him and QP.
Absolutely.
He won the matchup and then decided the game. This is the way they attacked the paint.
Dub Nation, stop what you're doing because this one could reshape the Warriors' entire season. Golden State is reportedly targeting a massive trade for Trey Murphy III, the budding Pelicans forward who's quietly become one of the most dangerous 20-point scorers in the league. And let me tell you, if this move goes down, it could be the game changer the Warriors have been chasing. Here's the inside scoop from The Athletic's Sam Amick reporting that the Warriors have been open about their desire to trade for Murphy. He's not some fringe player. He's putting up 21.2 points, 6.4 rebounds, and 3.6 assists per game, shooting 49, 36, 91 splits, and doing it at just 25 years old. That's elite efficiency and versatility. Analysts across ESPN, Bleacher Report, and Sports Trade Insiders have also noted that Murphy's combination of scoring and size, 6'8" with a 7-foot wingspan, makes him one of the most intriguing wing defenders and shooters available if New Orleans gets desperate in this tough season. Let's be honest, Golden State needs this. The Warriors are at 13-12. And while Steph Curry is still cooking and Draymond has been holding it down with grit, the rest of the roster has struggled to fill holes consistently. Right now, outside of Curry, the best three-point shooter is Buddy Hield, and we've seen a career-worst year from him, averaging just 8.0 points. That's not what you want as your second outside scoring option. Meanwhile, on defense, outside of Butler and Draymond, Golden State has had real issues containing wings and tricky perimeter scores. Big names like Will Richard have shown flashes, but the roster still lacks that complete two-way wing presence that an elite contender needs. Now imagine this, Curry slicing into the lane with Murphy as a constant threat on the wing, spacing the floor and forcing defenses to rotate. Pair that with Draymond's IQ and intensity, Butler's leadership, and the young pieces like Moses Moody and Brandon Podziemski growing into consistent roles. That's not just a Warriors team, that's a championship-level unit with depth, balance, and real defensive versatility. And let's give some love to Murphy's defensive upside. At 6'8" with that wingspan, he's been praised league-wide as a budding perimeter defender, someone who can switch, contest, and disrupt. For a Warriors team that has struggled in clutch defensive moments this season, that's a massive upgrade. Combine that with his ability to stretch the defense with catch-and-shoot threes and off-ball movement. This is exactly the kind of player that fits Steve Kerr's motion offense and defense principles. Of course, the trade won't be cheap. The Pelicans could demand a premium, potentially Hield and Jonathan Kuminga as contract match options, plus young pieces like Richard, Podziemski, and Moody. But the Warriors have shown they're willing to be bold when it counts. And let's not forget, Golden State's pick assets and draft capital add serious firepower to any package. This isn't a rebuild anymore. We're talking about reinforcing a contender. This is the difference between being a good team that just makes the playoffs and being a real threat come April and May. Teams like Denver and OKC are stacking talent. The Warriors need to answer with star power, shooting, and defensive versatility. And Trey Murphy III gives them all of that in one move. So where do I stand? I like this trajectory. If the Warriors can get Trey Murphy, a true 3-level scorer with defensive tools, this team automatically looks sharper. It gives Kerr flexibility, gives Curry spacing, gives Draymond more room to operate, and gives the bench a lethal scoring option. This would be one of those trades where if it happens, you can feel the roster elevation instantly. Now it's your turn, Warriors Nation. Do you think Golden State should pull the trigger on a trade for Trey Murphy III? What would you be willing to give up to land him? Are we finally seeing the Warriors swing for star support around Curry? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like if you're excited about this potential move, and make sure to subscribe to Warriors Nation News for all the latest updates, analysis, and reactions as this story develops. Let's talk!